So we continue with the topic that says, or actually the series that says Christianity according to Christ. And last week, we started the discussion on Jesus and a very common subject, which is divorce. And if you take some step back, our text is taken, let me share my screen as usual. Our text is taken from the book of Matthew. In that book of Matthew, let me share this. So in the book of Matthew, we started with this particular verses. That is where we've been doing a lot of study. And here Jesus saying, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your soul." And we have seen different topics from this passage that says, learn of me. So I'm going to continue from where we stopped last week, because last week was a very kind of well outlined discussion on the subject of marriage, Jesus' position. I have this slide available for us last week, and I'm going to continue from this very page that says Jesus' teaching on divorce. We learned that it is not in God's original agenda for marriage. We learned that last week. We also learned, because I will say from beginning, it was not so. So we talked about marriage involved the union of spirit, soul, and body. Because it says, and the two shall become one, that they are no longer two. Then we talk about it is God that joins in marriage. That's why it says what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. That's why human separation can never be perfect, because it's God that joins. Then divorce is man's amendment to the divine order. So the society created their own amendment to God's divine order. And you know when that happens, it can never be perfect. Then the target of devil, as I said last week, is the seed of the woman. Like when the home is attacked, you know the kids will be heavily impacted. Last week we went through different statistics on how kids are impacted when devil tear families apart. You can see here in Genesis chapter 18, verse 19, for I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. So this was a promise of God to Abraham, and when he wanted to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, he said, oh, I need to carry Abraham along in this plan, because I know that he will command his children and his household after him, that they shall keep the way of the Lord. God looking for a royal seed, a holy nation, a chosen generation. So he found it through the lineage of Abraham, and through that lineage, that is where we have come out today. So God is very particular about family as a factory to produce holy nation. So devil knew that quite all right, and is really, really after the marriage to break that agenda. And there are some biblical facts that we all need to be aware of. For those who have not got married, that is before the marriage. and for those who have got married after the marriage. Because there are two dimensions to things. If those biblical principles or facts are violated, marriage is under the threat of divorce. People can treat marriage like building a house or renting an apartment. Depends on the way people handle marriage. But if marriage is treated like renting an apartment, divorce is knocking at the door after the tenancy agreement is over. There was a cartoon I saw one day. A man collected a marriage certificate. He was looking for the expiration date of the certificate. So probably he's wondering, okay, I'm about to lock myself in for this period of time. When is it going to be over? So unfortunately, there is no expiration on the marriage certificate. So we have marriage. It depends on how you treat marriage. Marriage is like building a tower. Because the builder does not want a house to collapse, serious attention is paid to the foundation. Serious attention is paid to the foundation. And if somebody wants to build a high-rise building and does not pay good attention to the foundation, we all know what will happen to that building. We have seen different kinds of stories in the past, the house getting collapsed as a result of poor foundation. And family is a foundation for generation. So you are building on top of it. You are building on top of it. You're building on top of it. But if the foundation is shaky, the foundation is not well formed, you know what that could be. And in that book of Matthew chapter 7, verse 23, talk about somebody who built his house upon the rock. He said the rain fell, the wind blew, but the house did not fall because it was founded on the rock. And marriages, there will be wind. Marriages, there will be storm. There will be rain. There will be all manner of harsh weather. But if it's well founded on the rock, then they will survive it. But the one that are built upon the sand, you know the end of the story. When the wind came, when the storm came and the rain fell, the house fell apart. So those are the marriages built upon bad foundations. Many people claim that the love is blind. Well, when they enter into the marriage, their eyes become open and say, what? This is what I signed up for? Well, that is why you need to pay attention this morning so that love does not blind you from seeing what you are getting into. Luke chapter 14 talk about will somebody want to build a tower without counting the cost before he embark upon it. So marriage requires counting the cost. Most failed marriages have foundational issues. Most of them have foundational issues. So let's look at before marriage, some fact that we need to pay attention to for those who are yet to get married and for those that one day will be married. I started learning about marriage even before I was ready for marriage. Longest time ago, attending marriage seminars, and it helped me along the way. So here, number one, Bible talk about unequal yoke. And 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14 says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion has light with darkness? Many times we read this with speed without really paying close attention of what unequal yoke really means. As you can see, this my favorite picture of the two animals yoked together to achieve a goal. And when we're talking about unequal yoke, you consider vision compatibility. Do you have a vision or do you have visions that are compatible with each other? As you can see, these two animals, they must have the same vision. The one on the left cannot say, I'm going this way, you can go that way. It's not going to work because they are yoked together. So their vision must be compatible, must be common. They must have a common goal. divided vision produces division. When the vision is divided, you're looking at this side, you're looking at that side, and they're yoked together. What will happen eventually? The yoke has to be broken. And then divided vision produces division. So therefore, vision should be complementary. Just like two people want to get married, one is interested in the church, another one is interested in the club. One like to go to church, one like to go to the club. You can see incompatibility in the direction that both of them want to head. So when you see those kind of incompatibility in your vision, what you have passion for, when you see that if I go this route and this man go this way, there's no way things are not going to work. And you see that at the beginning of a relationship, don't say you are in love, give it a second thought. Another one is expectation compatibility. People have their expectations in marriage. In those days before I got married, I remember some of those sisters in those days, they already have their plan. They already laid out their agenda. And I'll be wondering, so you are looking for a man in whose life you are going to implement all this your plan. So they are just simply looking for a man as a platform to implement their own agenda, as if the man did not have any plan for his life. So when I saw those things, many of them didn't really, I don't want to go into details of that, but they ran into issues, many of them. They already have their plan, how they're going to do this, how they're going to do that, what their husband must not do, what their husband must do. I said, you have this mindset, you're looking for somebody to go and implement it in his life. It doesn't work that way. An attempt to impose one's expectation on the other party to solve compatibility issue will crash that union. You already have your mindset, everything is planned up. The business you want to do, the cost you want to do, everything, the way you want your home to be structured, number of kids you want to have, you only want one kid, and that is it. You already make that your plan. And you have not even met the man. Now that you met the man, you want to say, okay, I already made my plan, just come here, let me implement my plan in your life. As if the man is a dummy. He doesn't have anything to do in life. It is you alone that came to serve in life. That expectation could create crisis in marriage. There must be compatibility in the expectation. Now, another one is the emotional compatibility. Two people that are very emotional, I would advise them to reevaluate their options. Husband is crying, the wife is crying. They are both crying at the same time. So if you have two people that are too emotional, that they all crash at the same time, no one could stand and say, don't worry, everything will be all right. But they are both emotional about things. Everything, they react extreme about it. When you have such people going together, is a path to failure. They need to reevaluate their options. Spiritual compatibility. This is very, very important, even though that is where we started from, that being not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. It is very, very clear that when two people are spiritually incompatible, they tend to have friction in life. Let's look at a good example here, 2 Kings chapter 8, 16 to 18. Spiritual compatibility. And in the 5th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, Jehoshaphat being the king of Judah, Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign. Verse 17. 32 years old was he when he began to reign. That is Jehoram, that's the son of Jehoshaphat. He had we all know the story of Jehoshaphat. He was a very godly king, God-fearing king, but he had this son, Jehoram. And Jehoram was 32 years old when he began to reign in Jerusalem. Remember, the kingdom has been divided into two. We have the kingdom of Israel, we have the kingdom of Judah. Kingdom of Judah had 2 tribes, kingdom of Israel had 10 tribes. So after the splitting of the kingdom, Jeroboam was ruling over the 10 tribes, while Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, started ruling on the 2 tribes, which is tribe of Judah and Benjamin. So now you all know what Jeroboam did. He was one that introduced Israel to idol worshiping as a national, as a national worship for them. Now, but we have Rehoboam continuing that part of David, Solomon, and he was still a godly king. Now, as of this time, we all know the story of Ahab very well. Ahab was a very, very terrible, wonderful, wicked king, machinated by his wife, Jezebel. We all know the story of Jezebel. Now, Jehoshaphat had a son, which is Jehoram, succeeding him. Likewise, Ahab had a son, which is Joram, succeeding him. So they have those descendants in different kingdoms. So when it was time for Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, to get married, look at what happened in verse 18. And he walked in the way of the king of Israel, as did the house of Ahab, for the daughter of Ahab was his wife. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord. Even though we can call women weaker vessels, they are very, very smart at influencing decisions, influencing directions. The man can be strong, but they know how to play their game, that the man would dance to their tune. Here, this king went to marry the daughter of Jezebel, a son of a righteous king. From that moment, there was a shift in the direction of his life, spiritual incompatibility, godliness and ungodliness coming together. It is easier for somebody who is down to pull down somebody who is sitting at the top. Like, for instance, somebody is at the top and you give a rope to somebody who is at the bottom and you say, let us begin to pull each other. I can assure you, if the person at the top is not careful, he's on his way down, because the force of gravity is on the side of the person at the bottom. So here, the daughter of Jezebel succeeded to make this son of a righteous king to become wicked as well. Spiritual incompatibility. When a man enters into a relationship that is like you want to marry children of God and the children of the devil. Who is the father-in-law? The devil. So here, devil became the father-in-law for Jehoram. And devil brought all manner of evils to his life. And end of the day, Bible says he did evil in the sight of the Lord. That is what spiritual incompatibility can do. Now, let's look at another point, is ignoring red signals. Many people can be so much in love and begin to ignore red signals. Number one, ungodliness. The man or the woman have no interest in the things of God. Let's go to church, I'm not going. Let's go, but he like to go to club. He like to party. He like the worldly things. And if you are a man, you are a child of God, or you're a woman, you are a child of God, and you find yourself in this kind of situation, it's a red signal that the person you are in relationship with has no interest in your God. He doesn't even want to follow you to fellowship. And you say, I will change her, or I will change him. That is not going to happen. We all know that. And if the person ignore that red signals and say, we will fix it, we'll work it out, they will work it out in divorce court one day. Because that marriage, if it holds at all, it will collapse. Uncontrollable anger. Some men have anger problem. Likewise, some women have some anger problem. When you are in a relationship with somebody that when he flare up or when she flare up, that they can do terrific damages. And you say, love covers all things. The person is ignoring red signals. And those are the things that break a lot of homes. That people become so furious, wrought, and that's a red signal. Unfaithfulness during courtship. You're dating a guy, you are the number 5th girlfriend. And one day, you maneuver your way. He said, okay, he will take you to court to go and get married. And during the time of marriage vow, they said, for this purpose, the man will ignore, will let go all the rest, because they know the man has all the rest anyway. Because you will leave all the guys, you will leave all the ladies, you will cleave to your wife, because they know the guy has a lot of ladies. That was why they put that clause in the marriage vow. Now, during the courtship, this man was never stable, changing one girlfriend to another girlfriend. After the marriage, it's not going to change. It's the same person that you met before marriage that you are following into the you are following to the altar, and that same person is what you are going to build a home with. If that person will change, it has to change before you reconsider that option, because the unfaithfulness during courtship will be carried over into the marriage. And end of the day, one day things blew apart, and they said they are going on their own ways. Remember last week we were looking at social media, how some people are using social media to try the activities of their spouse. Unfaithfulness during courtship is a red signal. Blind argument. Blind argument. Always want to dominate argument. When you have that, the house will be full of contention. Man want to do this, the woman want to do this, they begin to argue. End of the day, they will achieve nothing. Argument upon argument. And none of them is ready to compromise. None of them is ready to concede for each other. Even Bible warned that we should avoid foolish argument because it engenders strifes. From argument, the man become hot-tempered and become violent. End of the day, police pick him up for being abusive. He had that problem longest time. The problem did not develop in the marriage. It developed before the marriage. And you saw those signals and you ignored them. Whoever ignoring red signals and looking for a lasting marriage is a joker. Integrity challenge. When somebody lacks integrity, if you say good morning, you need to go outside and be sure it is actually good morning. When Bible say let your yes be yes and your no be no. When a woman or when a man asks integrity challenge, and you know that this man cannot be trusted or this woman cannot be trusted, and you see head on and say, yeah, we're going to get married. It's not the work of the devil. It's the work of that individual that is ignoring red signals. Deception and pretense. Those are the hiding delicate truth to lure a man or woman into marriage will eventually crash that marriage. I've had the cases some lady had kids, and because the kids are not living with them, living elsewhere, she told the man that never had any child. No, I'm very, very simple. End of the day, they got married, and later the man found out that the woman had kids somewhere. And that was the beginning of the breaking down of that marriage. Every delicate truth that should be known before marriage should be disclosed. That everybody should walk into it with no hidden secrets that needed to be discovered later. Because somebody say, I'm just being smart. Well, they will get the reward of being smart. Hiding delicate truth, hiding your true self to sell yourself to a man or woman. A marriage is like building on sandy foundation. The house will soon collapse. Because the man does not really know that woman. Neither does the woman really know that man. So because they don't really know the true color of each other, they enter into marriage. To begin to, this is who you are, I didn't know. That's why some people say marriage is like a black market, where they switch off the light and they display all manner of things, come and buy. And end of the day, by the time you get into it, you begin to discover some wonders. and say, I didn't know this is you. Well, that is me. Maybe the man was a drunkard. But anytime the lady is coming around, he will hide all the bottles of beer and all the bottles of alcohol. And now the marriage is over. I begin to, from Kroger to Walmart, gathering all manner of liquors into the house. And you drink? Well, once in a while. Really? I didn't know you drink. Not knowing that the man the man is a drunkard. End of the day, the bottle of beer will break that marriage eventually. It's a matter of time. Hiding your true self to sell yourself to a man or woman in marriage is like building on a sandy foundation. The house will soon collapse. Maturity. Bible says, for this cause a man shall leave father and mother and cleave to his wife. Maturity. The marriage is not for boys. Marriage is for the man, not for the boy. Boy should stick to his father and mother till he becomes a man. Manhood is not by age. A lot of men have age and yet very childish. But I'm grown up. But you are grown up, you can't make decisions on your own. You are grown up, you don't know how to fend for your family. You are grown up, you can't handle little disagreement. But you are grown up. Those are the babies that are claiming to be of age. Marriage is not for boys, it's for men. He said, for this cause, a man, not a boy. Today we have a lot of teenagers running into marriage. Well, by the time they are 22, they're already on their way out of that marriage. Because they don't even know the definition before they jump into it anyway. It's beyond a man and a woman sleeping on top of each other. Marriage is far beyond that. To the men, if you cannot live, don't cleave. He said, because some people, before they do anything, they have to call their mom. Hey, mom, I want to buy a house. What kind of house do you think we should buy? And the wife is saying, can't we decide this within us? I need to talk to my mom. I saw a status, somebody's status one day during the May 27 Children's Day. He said to the men that could not manage their home, that they have to consult their parents for everything, Happy Children's Day. Because they are children. By the way they act. I've seen different kind of cases that the woman will be complaining that this man could not do anything. He has to bring his mom to their marriage. He has to bring his dad to their marriage. And it's becoming a pain in the life of that woman. Marriage is not for boys. It's for men. A man must be matured. Let's see it. Physically matured. Not only that, spiritually matured. Not only that, materially matured. We learned that the other week that if a man cannot fend for his family, it's worse than an infidel. Even though the woman can be making money, good, but the responsibility of man by divine order is to provide for his household. If a man has to be looking up to his wife's salary before sustaining the marriage, we understand things can be like that at the beginning due to some factors, but it shouldn't be a standard. It should not be a standard. Man must strive that the income of the woman will be addition, not a primary means of survival. Because at the end of the day, if you have to, how do I put this? Because when a man cannot manage or sustain his house, it doesn't mean that they have to go beyond their budget. Many times people go beyond their budget and enter into trouble of finance. Because one of the things that breaks home a lot in this country is finance. Money. Money tear houses a lot in the United States. But when it gets to that point, it was becoming too overwhelming for the woman. And the man could even be lazy and do not know how to advance himself, how to make himself better to the point of raising his own level to the point that he could sustain his family. The way the system is designed, for those who do not know, it's not designed for two parents to be working hard and become unavailable for the kids. That's not the way it's designed. When they bring kids to the bus stop by 2 p.m., Who are they expecting to receive kid at bus stop by 2 p.m.? A parent is expected to be available. So that is where a lot of people are missing it. I understand the two might want to work together, they want to make money. That is fine. But a man should assume that sole responsibility and consider it a blessing when the wife is now bringing money home. There's nothing wrong for a woman to bring money home, but a man should advance himself to the point that he could sustain his family. Then we talk about emotional maturity. Emotional maturity. So a man must be emotionally stable. He must be able to handle some shocks. He must be able to handle some crises. He must be able to deal with some matters without escalation. A man must be emotionally stable. So we have, now what about after marriage? Those are for those people that are still considering their relationship or they are thinking about it one day. They need to have this fact settled in them that marriage is not for boys. It's not for girls. It's for men. It's for women. So, finance after marriage. I said this earlier on, but if any provide enough for his own, especially for those of his own house, he has denied faith and is worse than an infidel. I've had the cases that a lady had to send a man out to go and look for a job. It was only the woman that was working. The woman would be flipping channels of TV from CNN to whatever next channel, and would be lying down, relaxing on the couch with the remote in his hand. One day, the woman got tired of it and sent him out of the house. Go and look for a job. And locked the door and shut the door against him. Until then, the man didn't think that he need to go and get a job. Some men are just like that. They are very, very laid back. All they know how to do is to fertilize and begin to produce kids, not having a mindset of how to make provision for them. Eve was brought to Adam to help him, not to assume his responsibility. The man was busy working, and God said, I need to find somebody that will help this man. Not to replace this man, but to help him. God did not create a second Adam. He created a will and say, Adam, you are working alone. I need additional Adam for you. And create Adam part 2, which we see today. God did not go and create another Adam that as muscular as the first Adam. He said, this man needs an help. And then God has examined the life of Adam and knows the area of weaknesses of Adam. And said, okay, let me bring a woman that will fill this gap in the life of this man. And Eve was brought to fill the gaps in the life of Adam. Eve was not brought to come and assume Adam's responsibility, but to support him, to help him. Unforgiveness is a marriage killer. We step on each other's toe every now and then. We need to learn forgiveness as part of the deal. Fear of God. Let's see what the Bible says in Malachi chapter 2, verse 16. For the Lord, the God of Israel, said that he hated putting away. For one covereth violence with his garments, said the Lord of hosts. Therefore, take heed to your spirit that you did not treacherously. So let me give us a simpler translation. New Living Translation says, for I hate divorce, says the Lord, the God of Israel. To divorce your wife is to overwhelm her with cruelty, says the Lord of heaven's armies. So guard your heart. Do not be unfaithful to your wife. So that is Malachi chapter 2, verse. God says he hates divorce. Another thing that people need to watch out for in marriage is tongue and wrath. Now, sometimes if you look at the tongue and the wrath, they go together. The tongue, most of the time, belongs to the women. The wrath, many times, belongs to the man. When a woman does not know how to use her tongue, It's like kindling a fire in the life of a man. And the man could go crazy. And then before you know what's going on, violence has set in a family. Every one of us need to know how to use our tongue wisely. And also people need to know how to implement or exercise self-control when somebody is saying things that are not palatable to you. A soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Somebody has grievous words. Somebody has anger. If you combine the two of them together, you want to burn the house. Because the one that has grievous words is not going to keep quiet. The one that has anger is going to blow up. I'm warning you. I'm warning you. And keep saying, so when he's saying I'm warning you, the thing's already building up inside him. He's just waiting for a breaking point, an explosion point. Many times I've been invited to come and intervene to some marriages. When you hear the tongue, you say, it will take the grace of God for this marriage to survive. Because the woman will not keep quiet. And lo and behold, the man is boiling inside with anger. It's an appeal that every woman should know how to use their tongue, so that they don't use their tongue to break their homes. Some people have used their tongue to scatter their families. They have used their tongue. One day, there's a couple, they used to be couple, they are no longer together anymore. When you hear the story from the side of the woman, it's like you should go and hang the man straight away. By the time the woman packaged the story, it's like, so a man like that is still living? Now, when you now hear the side of the man, you mean you are living with that woman? One day, the man sent the recording of the utterances of the woman to my phone. By the time I played that recording of what the woman was saying to him, eventually they couldn't keep the marriage because of tongues and anger. Let us be careful that our tongue is not a weapon that devil will use to break homes. And let us be careful that our temperament is not a weapon in the hand of the devil to break families. Let us be careful. Jesus on divorce. So now, let's look at what would be the position of Jesus Christ on different use cases or different cases. Let's look at this. If you bring divorce case before Jesus, because remember, our focus is Christianity according to Christ. If you bring divorce case before Jesus Christ, based on Jesus' teachings we have read so far, it's very obvious. Jesus will say, don't do it. It's very simple. You say, but the man he will say, don't do it. And I'm appealing to everyone today who is considering it, don't do it. If you think it will get better, it may get worse. Because you don't even know where you are going. Whether the one you met that you think is a devil is just a distance relationship to the devil. And the one you will meet next is second in command to the devil. So that is why you have to be careful. Jesus will say, don't do it. But if your heart is hardened, remember he said because of the hardness of their heart. He said, but if your heart is hardened, you will consider the position of, I said, if your heart is not hardened, because that our heart is already hardened by the devil, they say, regardless of what anybody say, they are going ahead with this, they're going to sign the paperwork, everybody will go on their own way. But if your heart is not hardened by the devil, you will consider the position of Jesus today, you will tear that divorce paper and prayerfully seek peace with your spouse. If your heart is not hardened. Remember, he said, Moses permitted it because of the hardness of their heart. Now, if you're a child of God, I'm not expecting your heart to be hardened that Jesus cannot speak to you. So that's when you're going to give account to the end of the day. So if you believe you are going to give account to Jesus Christ, end of your journey, why can't you listen to him today and reconsider that divorce process you have started? But what if the man is a monster? Or the woman is a devil? Because now it's easier said than done. Because if you hear some cases, you will be speechless altogether. But sometimes you can never judge correctly by listening to one side of the story. Because one side will always tell you how wonderful they are. But the man is the devil. By the time you meet the man alone, he will describe how wonderful he has been. But the woman is the devil. So now, that does not mean people don't have their flaws and their differences. But if you come to Jesus Christ and say, what if the man that I'm with right now is a monster? Or the woman is a devil? Look at what he's going to tell you. Jesus will say, let him that has no sin among you cast the first stone. Because you that is calling somebody a monster, if we dig down further into your own characters, we will know you are the one that carry fuel and you are pouring it into the man that carry fire. Why can't you withdraw your fuel so that the fire can go away? Because if you say you don't have fire but you have fuel, and somebody say, I have fire, I don't have fuel. If you now begin to pour fuel into the fire, that is where people come around and begin to point finger to others. Because they themselves have issues. Jesus will say, let one among you who has no sin cast the first stone. Fix yourself before you try to fix your partner. Fix yourself before you try to fix your spouse. Because I know this very well. Many times, somebody is at fault. And when the person fails to admit that is at fault, let me tell you the case that is difficult to settle. A case where both parties feel that they have been unfairly treated. That's the most difficult case to resolve. When a woman feels that he has been unfairly treated, and the woman feels that she has been unfairly treated, it's always a difficult fight to settle. Because both of them could stick to their guns, that they have been taken for a ride or taken for granted. So, if you want to call a man a monster or call a woman a devil, why can't you examine your home first? I understand you don't have fire. I understand you are not the one causing fire in the marriage, but you have fuel in your hand. And it's that fuel that you're pouring into that fire. And because we don't see fire and fuel does not make noise, we see you are the angel in the family. You don't know that you are even the commander-in-chief in the host of the devil in that home, pouring fuel into fire. So therefore, brethren, before you make somebody a monster or a devil, why can't you examine your own first? When you fix yourself, it's much easier for others to adjust. If you withdraw fuel from fire, fire will go down automatically. I pray God will help us to understand this and have self-examination and stop pointing fingers to the others and point that finger to ourselves the first and begin to examine our life according to the scriptures. Do I have this? What are the things that the Bible is saying that we shouldn't do that I'm doing on a daily basis? And I'm putting the blame of anger or fire upon my spouse. Number 3, but if you have done it, that is, you have divorced, and the other party has moved on, what would Jesus do in this kind of case? Jesus will say, neither do I condemn you, but go and sin no more. We are growing up, I've seen different kind of cases. Okay, your wife has left. Sorry. So you can't remarry. Let's go and make peace with the one that left, and let's go and meet her in her husband's house so that she can come back. I've seen cases like that. And they'll be lucky if the new husband didn't chase them with cutlass. Now, if you bring this case before Jesus Christ, The other party has gone to move on with his or her life, has got married to another man and is enjoying, and the man is standing. Jesus will say, I won't go into the detail. Jesus will say, neither do I condemn you, but go and sin no more. They brought that woman caught in the act of adultery, expecting Jesus to join them to condemn the woman because they have proofs. They are more than two. Because with the matter of 2 or 3 witnesses, matter shall be established. Truly, they brought witnesses. We caught her. Even though they brought the actress, they didn't bring the actor. I don't know what kind of justification for that. But they brought the actress before Jesus Christ. We caught her in the very, very act. He said, neither do I condemn you, but go and sin no more. Let's look at this one. This was obvious in Jesus' conversation with the Samaritan woman. Remember that well, when Jesus Christ was there, the Samaritan woman came around to fetch water. Jesus encountered her. And Jesus told her that, if you want me to give you the water of life, go and bring your husband. And she said, he had no husband. He said, you are very, very correct. You already have 5 in the past. You have divorced 5 times. Even the one you are right now, you're about to snatch somebody else's husband. And the woman was convicted in her heart. And she was broken. Jesus did not condemn her, but he condemned the act of that woman. He will say, neither do I condemn. We have seen cases of people. I'm not advocating for people breaking their family and going on their own, that the hand of God was heavy upon them. Whereas they just quit a marriage where they have been badly treated. And the woman said, you know what? Instead of dying in this marriage, let me just cling to Christ for the rest of her life. Cases. So you can't really use a hammer and begin to smash on people's head without looking at how would Jesus address this matter. He will say, neither do I condemn you, but go and sin no more. Anything that you know that now that the past, nothing you can do about the past. Now you have encountered Jesus Christ. You want to have a fresh beginning with the Lord. I won't tell you the detail of your journey, but one thing is very sure. Go and sin no more. Jesus said, my burden is light and my yoke is easy. On diverse subjects, Jesus' burden is don't do it. Don't do it. And his yoke is go and sin no more. Let's begin to talk to the Lord this morning. Let's begin to appreciate him and talk to him and say, Lord, come into my house, come into my home. If anyone is considering that one day I will send this woman away, or one day I will divorce this man, don't do it. If you're a child of God, Jesus is saying, don't do it. But the man is a monster, the woman is a... Go and fix yourself first. Examine your own life. Talk to Jesus today and say, Lord, come into my life. Pray against every distraction. Pray against every seed of what the enemy has sown that is growing, germinating, and you are not paying attention. Talk to the Lord this morning. Father, come into my life. Come into my home. If you are contemplating on it, it's time for you to look at Jesus Christ's side of the story. Don't do it. You want to give your life to Christ so that Christ will be the foundation upon which you build your home so that no matter the storm, you will stand. It's an opportunity to make it right with God. Talk to him and say, Lord, come into my life. I don't want to make any mistakes. Pray for spiritual sensitivity so that you don't ignore red signals.